Welcome to another episode of One of Us Knows What They're Talking About, and the other one is you. I'm Lori Burch, your host. Join us as we discuss and unpack wills, trusts, estate planning, and probate law in a way that's actually informative, interesting, and, well, hopefully entertaining. Because if you don't have a will, the state of Texas has one for you. Let's dive in. Okay, gang. So today we're going to talk about beneficiary designations.
Woo!
Woo. Sarah, what are beneficiary designations?
Starting off strong.
Wow. I'm going to take a guess that it's where you designate your beneficiaries in your documents.
That works.
Yeah.
That works. Well, yeah. So one thing that we have encountered over our many years when it comes to wills, trusts, estate planning, and the like is that a lot of your assets, your money and whatnot, are actually not controlled. Listen up, everybody, not controlled by whatever your will or trust says. Just imagine yourself walking into your HR department, if you should have one at your place of work, and they offer you life insurance, retirement, and unlike the employees of Burch Law, you actually want to take advantage of the amazing retirement plan that's offered to you. And then you are provided with a form that says, if you kick the bucket, who do you want to get this? i.e., a beneficiary designation. And when you do things like that on life insurance, retirement, beneficiaries, even some bank accounts, that preempts or overrides anything a will or trust says. And this actually, I mean, I know we never ever talk about the downsides of DIY and forms and reduced legal services. We never talk about it. Sarah has no feelings about how bad it is, but I'm
Zero.
going to bring it up. I'm going to bring it up this time. It is one of the biggest downsides to fly-by-night law firms. Ooh, that's a new expression I want us to start using. Sarah, write that down. Fly-by-night law firms. I also kind of like cut rate law firms, like the Allstate Commercials, not a sponsor, right? Is it because that Mayhem,
Yeah.
who is one of my favorite commercial characters of all time, to avoid mayhem, like me, which actually, if we'd thought about this before, would have been a really great advertising campaign for Burch Law. But it's okay. We've come up with other things. We are an award-winning marketing firm with our ads, so it's okay. We will give Allstate the mayhem, but cut rate. So cut rate, fly-by-night law firms, but certainly online forms, will kits, all of that. Nobody is talking you through how are your life insurance beneficiaries set up? How are your retirement accounts set up? How are your investment accounts set up? And so if you have a life insurance policy that says everything to A, and then you have a will that says everything to B, if you pass away, A is going to get that life insurance policy and B is going to get what's left, which for a lot of you is not very much, except maybe a house that has almost no equity in it and a bank account that has $2.
Woo.
Right. So very important that beneficiaries are coordinated the right way when it comes to these type of assets. Even health savings accounts have the ability to put beneficiary designations. Also, beneficiary designations is an umbrella term. If you see anything that has a TOD, transfer on death, POD, pay on death, that's all a type of beneficiary designation because it's saying if I die, this is the person who gets it. Hence,
On
a
death.
beneficiary. Right. And what is fascinating to me, not, is how some financial institutions are completely baffled by the most common things. And we've had instances where we've told clients, oh, you've got your checking account at XYZ Bank, not a sponsor, and you tell them that you want to put a beneficiary on your bank account. And they're like, well, we don't do beneficiary designations. We just do PODs. And I'm telling you, people, I don't I don't know how to handle this sometimes. I don't. But anyway, all it is a type of beneficiary designation. All of those things are. And there's very good uses of them, but you want to be very careful with how that's done. And probably the biggest, most common mistake that we see, and partly because our law firm is focused a lot on families with young children. And so when you have a minor child, then in your estate plan, your will or trust, and you want them to receive anything, you have to have some sort of mechanism that if they're underage, that there is something that can be set up where someone else oversees this for them, also called a trust. And then there has to be a trustee and all of that. And then you pick the age or ages at which you think that they are, hopefully crossing fingers, old enough or responsible enough to handle that money. And the biggest mistake, one of the biggest mistakes you can make, is then going into your HR department, going to your insurance agent, going to your financial planner, and slapping a minor child's name on a beneficiary designation. In fact, my hope would be that there's not a single financial planner or insurance agent or HR person that would allow you to do that. But sometimes you're able to go online and fill these things out, and there's nobody to tell you how completely horrible that is. Because let's say you have a will that says, here's my 6-year-old. If they're under 25 and I pass away, I want everything to go to them. But I'm going to have my sister be the trustee and she can use this for their education and their needs. But when the 6-year-old reaches 25, then the trust is going to end and it's going to go to them. And then you waltz over and you got your life insurance beneficiary and you just put the 6-year-old's name. Well, a minor child cannot inherit money or assets directly. So the insurance company is going to give you a couple options. They're going to say, hey, we'll just hang on to it until they're 18. What do you think of that? And they will. If you don't like that idea, then they're not going to care that there's a will, a trust, a trustee. They're not going to care about that at all because you named a direct beneficiary. Remember, that overrides any sort of estate plan you have. So that's irrelevant. So then what do you have to do? Well, then you have to go to the court, get the court to appoint who will oversee it, which may or may not be the person that you wanted. In my example, your sister. And then the money is going to go into the court registry. Great return on investment there. And then at age 18, that money is just released to them. So it doesn't matter that this will with a trust is age 25. So like this money, which by the way, life insurance in this example is just cash. If you've got $100,000 life insurance, that's just $100,000. That's just handed on over. So one of the most important things is making sure that when you're doing this, that you're doing this with a qualified law firm that is going to actually work with you and make sure that they're going to help you, at least guide you, if not help you fill out forms, which Burch Law does all of the above, in filling out these forms and getting those connected. Now, that's not a one size fits all. There are many reasons why you might name different beneficiaries than you would name in your trust. Sometimes that is actually a planning strategy. If your parents gave you money as a down payment for your first home, and if they outlive you, you would like a portion of that to go back to them. Well, one really great way to do that is maybe make them a beneficiary on life insurance, or maybe it's a 50% beneficiary on life insurance or an investment or something. But then your will be more streamlined to capture everything else, where you have everything going to your spouse or to your children. So all of this is to say that the way that all these things are set up, investment accounts, retirement accounts, all of that is very, very important. And you need to make sure that you've got careful advice. If it's a will that has a trust for kids, sometimes it's setting up a testamentary trust as the beneficiary. Or if you have a living trust, sometimes it's setting up living trust. If you're married, though, sometimes you want the spouse to be named primary and then the trust to be named secondary. But these are all things, again, that you need to be working with a qualified law firm to really guide you on that. Sarah, Sam, and Satya, which is not the same letter, but very alliteration. I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
we're alliterating.
questions so far. What are our thoughts on this?
What if I really, really, really trust my 20-year-old? He's like a brother to me. He's not my brother, but I really trust him. He makes really great decisions, and I just want him to have everything at once. Like, is that a good idea? He makes fantastic life decisions.
At 20 years old?
Uh-huh.
I mean, look, I don't know where you're trying to lead me here, but the
Oh,
way
no,
I would deal with
nowhere.
a
Just
client,
that's not
if
smart.
if you think your 20-year-old that you know in your life is able to handle this and that's who you want to name, you legally are
He
able to name
cannot. I love him, but he cannot.
okay, well then that's something you need to talk to your estate planning attorney about, other ways
That's you. Yeah,
to
how do I
arrange
make
that.
sure he doesn't get everything at one time?
Well, that will be something where we talk about assets going into a trust, and then we need to have a trustee, and then we need to make sure whatever those assets are, if they are things that are typically designated outside of a will or trust, such as the aforementioned assets, life insurance, annuities, um, retirement, investment accounts, then that those beneficiaries will actually feed into that trust to go for him. The other thing,
Well,
though, is that yes.
with beneficiaries, what if I just want him to get like some items? What if I don't want to funnel any kind of funds to him? What if it's
If it's
like I want
personal effects, then you
uh-huh,
can
uh-huh.
designate personal effects, whether it's a ring, stamp collection, furnishing, your stupid snake, whatever it is.
What about this? What about
Dang.
my candy
Right.
dispenser?
So that's stuff that doesn't have a legal title on it. So you can either put that into whatever estate planning document you have, or you can do a separate document as a guide to your executor, hoping that they'll honor it. But if you got a bunch of worthless shit like you're talking about, then I would say just put it in the
Said a
memorandum
candy dispenser.
and not worry
Dang.
about
Wow.
not
I
worry
guess the
about
life,
the
my
legality of that.
snake's life is not worth anything to you.
Your snake's life is not worth anything to me, and I did not think that was
Aw,
something
Tay
that
doesn't.
is earth shattering.
Tay doesn't deserve that. He is a living
No
creature.
snake's life is worth
He
anything
had
to
a
me.
hard life at the beginning, and we had to nurse him back to health. And now he's moisturized and thriving and staying in his lane.
Moisturized.
Well, he
and
really has no
thriving.
choice to stay in his lane because he's
He does.
I
He
think
could try to escape.
oh.
I think
Oh.
moisturized and thriving is there's something to that. I don't know if it needs to be like cross stitched on something, but
It's something the kids
there's
say.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think if someone asks me like how I'm doing, I'm going to start saying I'm moisturized and thriving. I
Yeah.
incidentally am very moisturized because I have a slight obsession with lotion.
Oh, I know.
And in fact, I
Yeah.
have it's only one. I have one bottle of lotion that is right here at the ready. I have probably 3 or 4 containers of lotion in my desk.
Is that a
I'm
good
very
Secret
particular.
Santa gift? I'm not your Secret Santa, but
In case the secret
Well,
Santa
don't-
listens to the
This room.
podcast.
Exactly what somebody would say.
no, I
Yes,
I
not
would
your
not be
secret
that
Santa
obvious.
is
Huh.
exactly something
Interesting.
that your secret Santa would say.
I promise I'm not your Secret Santa.
But Sam, you shouldn't say that because by process of elimination, you're just like starting to
Yeah,
think that.
because I already
Well-
kind of know who some people have on accident. So now I get to process them, eliminate down.
Well, don't do that.
So
Stop.
I can't
Yeah.
help it. Are you telling me not to think?
I will say I am so excited about who I got as my secret, well, not as my secret Santa, who I get to be the secret Santa for, that I immediately ordered something and it arrived yesterday.
And so
And
now we know
it's gonna
that
it's gonna take everything inside of me to not give this gift ahead of time.
Do you need to give it to like me and Gabby so we can hide it away so you can't give it to them?
no, because then y'all will forget
What
it.
if you're the one? Sam? Or what if Gabby's the one?
Well, like
See,
wrap
I'm
it and like I don't know. Make
not
it
as
so we
careless
can't
as
forget.
you.
True.
I mean,
No, although Kimberly unwrapped it and left it in my little section in the kitchen by the Keurig. And I do wonder what her thought process was when she saw this item.
I'm so curious.
And it's like no questions asked, which is just reason 101 that this is the perfect marriage. Because it's pretty,
Man.
it's a conversation starter. Let's just say that.
Oh, no.
I'm
And
so curious.
I need to know what this is.
What, Sarah?
I need to
You
know what
need-
this is.
We will
Anyway,
find out in
you all will be revealed
Month.
December 17th.
yeah, about a month away.
Damn, we still got a month.
We'll forget about
Yes.
it.
No, Sarah won't.
She's like a goldfish.
So anyway,
Yes, she will.
I wonder, here's what I wonder. I think Kimberly probably just assumes it's something I got for myself, which is hilarious.
Yeah, probably.
No questions asked. Her concern was just to unpack the box and put it in our box of recycling, because that is one of the things in her lane in our household is recycling cardboard boxes. And that was probably her main focus. And as unique as this thing is, she probably took one look at it and questioned nothing.
She said, "Not my business," and moved on.
It's like I said, this is so on brand. I really do think she probably assumes it's for me.
Nice.
Because it does look like something I would want. And I'm not saying I don't want it, so maybe I won't even give it to whomever was picked for me. Gabby knows because she had to pick for me. Anyway, we digress. Although someone will be the beneficiary of my gift. Get that, bringing it back.
Boo.
So I do want to talk also about bank accounts in particular, because those can be a little messy. Oh, I know what I was going to also mention before Cynthia so rudely interrupted me.
What?
Is
You asked for contributions.
You did ask if we had questions.
You asked.
But do I mean it? Do I mean it? No.
You know, sometimes we want to be hopeful. Sometimes we want to have
So
hope.
I do want to make sure
world.
that no one also does the following, because this is also a big mistake people make, is if they name as their beneficiary or they add someone to a bank account or something like that, the person that they trust to handle everything. So naming a direct beneficiary of the person who you want to be trustee for your kids, or naming your oldest son because he's your executor, but you actually want everything to be divided 3 ways. This is a huge problem, because when you name the person, then in the eyes of the law, whatever that is, life insurance, bank account, is 100% theirs. It's not something that's going into your estate that's going to help pay for expenses and then it's going to be divided up according to your wishes. It goes 100% to the person you named. Now, of course, you all can put your own thoughts together on whether you can trust someone to actually honor those wishes. I sometimes still live in a very Pollyanna world that there are people you can trust and they would follow your wishes. But just know that's something that is also an issue with this, is can you trust them to actually then divide it or distribute it the way you want? But let me go with the bigger things that concern me, is that one, in the eyes of the law, like I said, that's theirs. So then if they were to then to turn around and divide it to other people, if it's cash, money, that sort of thing, then they could be running against gift tax, because they're actually, it looks like they're giving a gift of that to somebody else. The other thing, when you're naming, let's go back to the 6-year-old child, I've named my sister as the trustee. So we already established bad idea to name the 6-year-old. And even though I told you you should be naming the trust, you're like, oh, forget that. I don't even know how to spell testamentary. Sarah, do you know how to spell testamentary?
I do. Thank you.
Thank you. So you're like, forget it. I'll just name my sister. Because they're like, oh, you're saying name the trustee, so I'm going to name the sister. Well, again, eyes of the law, then that asset's completely the sister's. going to go ahead and allow you to presume that they'll use it for your child, but that's also considered a personal asset of theirs. So if sister gets sued, filed for bankruptcy, any of those things, then all the money that they're supposed to be trustee of for your kid is subject to all of that. The other thing is, what if sister dies before kid hits that threshold, let's say 25, where is that money going to go then? How's it going to be continue to be used for your child, because it's an asset of theirs? So whatever their estate plan says or doesn't say, as 70+% of people have, it goes according to that. So also a big mistake. So before we completely devolve and fall off the rails with Sam and Sara, I do want to talk a little bit about bank accounts and setting those up. And I'm really just going to reiterate what I said, but I do want to do it couched in the difference with bank accounts. So keep in mind, if you've got a checking savings account and you're like, oh, I'm just going to add this person to it as like a joint owner, all those same issues are on the table. If they run a credit report, they get sued, file for bankruptcy. Now that account that you added them to that has your money in it is considered an asset of theirs. And again, if you have them as a POD, transfer on death, all of that, then that's money that's personally theirs. It doesn't go into the estate to help pay expenses, and there's no obligation for them to distribute it to multiple beneficiaries that you've named. Or if they do, then there's gift tax consequences. So the takeaway of all of this is that there are a lot of different ways that you can set up bank accounts, title bank accounts, set up beneficiaries on life insurance, retirement, investments, and so forth. And there's no one size fits all in doing this. And that's one of the biggest reasons why it's so important. And I always clarify law firm with qualified law firm, because look, there's some out there that probably an online will is better than them. And that's just the sad fact of it. But the good news that we have for all of you is if you go to burch-law.com, we have a checklist that you can look for when you are looking for a firm. And even though we are specific to Texas, I would say that that checklist is probably a good way to pre-qualify a law firm in whatever state that you're in. Like, these are the things that you should be looking for. And lo and behold, one of them is asking them, do you help guide us on how to set up our beneficiaries, and to what extent do you support that process, as far as, do you help fill out forms? Do you talk to financial advisors? Do you do all of that? So that's really a huge piece of the value, because the fact of the matter is, at least with the everyday people from all walks of life, the middle class that we deal with, because a lot of estate planning firms are focused purely on the uber wealthy and all of that, and that's great. They need the help too, but we really cater to the masses. So for a lot of them, the most they have that would be generated when they pass away is controlled by beneficiaries. Because, I made the reference earlier that, you might have a home that barely has any equity, but you've got maybe through work, a retirement, or, significant amount of a life insurance policy. That's money you're not living off now, but if you passed away, you've generated a lot. So the majority of money and assets that will be generated when you pass away may not even be controlled by your will or estate plan. And it's why you need to make sure that you get that guidance on how to set those things up, to think holistically about how things are going to go down when things go down, or how things go down when you go down.
Ooh.
Wow.
Maybe that needs to be a tagline, or in one
How
of
do you
our,
put that on a billboard?
how will things go down when you go down? Right? So the theme today is beneficiaries, and all about beneficiaries and beneficiary designations. And I've had a little bit of a hectic day. I have not been able to see what Sam and Sara have prepared to coincide with this theme. So without further ado, Sara and Sam, what do you have to talk about when it comes to beneficiaries?
Yeah, we have who you should not name as your beneficiary.
Oh, intriguing. Okay.
So,
I'm
Sam's
very
up first.
curious.
Oh, I am. Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
I thought you all had started to work this out.
They
Sam, I
don't
told you,
do that.
I messaged
No.
you.
Did you?
Did.
You did not say at any point that I
I
would be going.
messaged you. I promise.
Sarah,
Okay.
quick point of
Anyway,
clarification.
I need receipts.
I don't ever listen to the podcast because I live it. Do you ever edit this out?
Oh, she did too. Whoops.
Typically, no.
Why would she? It's part of the shtick now.
Yeah. She did, in fact, message me. She did it in between multiple messages that I just skipped over it.
Skipped
My
over.
bad.
Okay, so first up, Sam and Sara. Like, if you want to name us
Wait.
on there, we're not going to be mad.
So we
But, like,
should
you
not
shouldn't.
leave. Why?
'Cause you don't know
You're
us.
Oh,
Oh, what? What if someone does know you
How I
though? Like, what
feel.
about your family members?
Well, I mean, I would hope that they would put me on. I'd appreciate it. I wouldn't say no. They probably have other
Okay.
The
people
listeners,
first.
listeners should not.
You're saying complete strangers should not name you all
Yeah.
as beneficiaries because they don't know
Yeah.
you.
Correct.
Right.
Excellent. I can't wait to see where this goes now.
The next person you should not name as your beneficiary is your situationship that lasted 2 weeks and then ghosted you.
very true.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Next up is Taylor Swift. We love her, but she's rich enough. She doesn't need you.
Oh, so it's because she doesn't need it.
Yeah.
I do
I
have a
was
question.
about
Yeah.
to be angry.
Well, not necessarily for you, because I don't know if you could answer it, Sam, but could you just, for fun, name a celebrity as a beneficiary? I know you could do charities, but like,
So is this a question for Sam?
no.
I would hope not. Because
Or is
I
it a
don't know
question
you.
for me?
You said not for you, and you really need to clarify, hun.
Sorry, I meant not for Sam.
Okay. Most forms that require you to name a beneficiary, you have to put their social security number and address and so forth. So that does
If you
pose
want to
an
reach out to
interesting
Tree
question.
and see if you can get that information, that'd be great.
Okay, cool. Next up,
Sarah? Uh-huh.
man, can't believe I put this. Next up, you should not name your gynecologist. Really,
I've
any
had questions
doctor,
all
but
day.
yeah.
What
Elaborate.
made
First
you think
doctor
of
I thought
this?
of.
You just have
I
a
was
bond with
thinking
them.
doctor, and it just immediately just
So is your theme
No, you have
people who
gynecologists
don't need
here.
money?
no. Just people
Okay.
you
I need
shouldn't name.
explanations. Well,
I mean, me and Sarah need money, so we're not good at that.
your situation should last about 2 weeks, probably needs money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is making you think that your gynecologist does not deserve any of your money?
Just the relationship. It's weird. It's your doctor. That's all I got. No further questions.
I have
I love how Sarah just said, I will be accepting no further questions. Thank you. And
Absolute silence.
I have so many things that I can add, but I'm not gonna push it that far.
thank you. Okay, Sam?
Next up, of who you should not name as your beneficiary, your cat.
And why not?
Bye.
Because they're not human and don't know how to spend it.
What?
Or have a
I
bank
beg
account.
to differ. Turnip could figure that out.
Well, Turnip's the exception for pretty much everything.
Next
right.
up is your therapist. Don't name them as your beneficiary.
Why?
They know too much.
So it's taken me a long time through this list, but I've discovered that we should probably stop and restart and just let this be rapid fire, because asking you why takes away from this, because you have actually no rational basis for these things
It's
that you
all, yeah.
put. Okay. So, all right, I want to stop.
Okay.
And you don't necessarily need to edit this out, because if anything,
I would
people should see
not.
this whole thing. All right, let's start from the top, rapid fire. Who or what you should not name as your beneficiary. Go.
First up, me and Sarah.
Your situationship that lasted 2 weeks, then ghosted you.
Taylor Swift.
Your gynecologist.
Your cat.
Your therapist.
The stray cat you feed every 3 days who is clearly not a stray cat and has a family.
Santa?
Your emotional support rock.
I knew
That
that
was
one
much
was
better.
Sam's when I read the first list.
We definitely should have done rapid fire from the get-go.
I think that's
Yeah.
the first time we've successfully rapid fired.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely the first time I understood the words you said.
Oh,
The first time,
Whoa.
Sam.
thank you.
What's so
I don't think
funny
you
is
should
her
do a
reaction
thank you
was,
for that.
oh, that's fine. Sam, have you ever
Yeah.
noticed that Sam always says thank you to the things that I say?
She does. I've noticed
And I'm
that.
always like,
fine.
that's an interesting take.
Because they're usually not completely nice.
Yeah. Positivity is my number 6.
And also my number
Ow.
6.
Wait, are
I
you
mean, we have the
serious?
same top 6. Yeah, we have the same top 6,
Yeah.
not just top 5. I think it's top 6.
That's so freaky. So there you have it, folks. Those are all the people, things, or scenarios. I'm personally offended that cats made it twice. There's 2 different types of cats,
Same.
but apparently
Yeah.
Sarah,
you
I told you to
should
cut it.
don't name them as beneficiaries. Who should you name as beneficiaries? Consult your favorite estate planning firm, and they will guide you
That's-
the right way.
Burch Law.
Is a sponsor.
Sponsored.
Thanks for listening. And just to cover all our bases about what you just heard, I'm sorry and you're welcome. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And tell your friends about us. We do webinars and live events. The best way to stay up to date is to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Links are in the show notes. If there's a topic you'd like us to cover, maybe you have a question you'd like us to answer, or maybe you just want to say hi, hit the link in the show notes or go to birch-law.com/podcast and fill out the contact form.
Much better.
Yeah, I thought that had a lot of energy.